Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go racing here from Kentucky Speedway in the Cup Series, as well as we have an Xfinity Series race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So coming into Kentucky though, last time we came here we had a horrendous race, so we're hoping to not repeat that coming into today's episode. But first we have this Xfinity Series race here for the Overton's 200 at New Hampshire to settle out. Now Paul Menard, he's been having an up and down season, as you guys know by now, I'm sure. For this race, Paul actually qualified outside of the top 10, so it wasn't looking great coming into it, but we still had some good confidence with Paul behind the wheel, of course, coming into this race. Now, as you're starting on the outside line, as we would get underway for the Overton's 200 here as it goes down into turns 1. So, obviously, looking to get to the inside right away. We still go to New Hampshire on the Cup Series schedule with the mods and whatnot. Do not worry about that, as we will be going there in a few more episodes' time. We got today Kentucky, then the next episode we go to, I believe it is Michigan, then we go to my home track in Canada. Very excited for that one at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And then we go to New Hampshire, and then we have the regular season finale at the Charlotte Roval. So it was a pretty chill, relaxed race for Paul Menard. Unfortunately, he really never went anywhere, and you're going to see that represented here as he was really struggling to move his way throughout the field. And towards the very end of the race, he was starting to make up a little bit of ground, but obviously doesn't do much when you're at the end of the race now at this point here. So we're going to come through straight to the final lap of this race here in New Hampshire. It was a runaway at the front of the pack here for the race victory. Now as Paul goes into turn 3, a little bit wide right there, left the door open for the 22 of Kevin Magnussen to actually get out of turns 4 ahead of Paul, and unfortunately Menard had nothing there, so he would come through to cross the line for a little bit of a disappointing 13th place finish here from the Overton's 200. As you look at the top 5, Ryan Sieg picked up the victory there, so a great effort from that team and of course that driver as you look at the rest of the finishing order on your screen currently now. So nonetheless, I mean, not a terrible day for our team, but we still expect better from Paul Menard behind the wheel, and hopefully we can back it up next episode and get back up towards the front at least now, as we have a brand new paint scheme on our Cup Series car for this episode, an Exalta paint scheme. We haven't had Exalta primary, I don't think, since I've even come into this 24 car. This scheme was made by my good friend of RJ Bishop, so he did a great job with this. He made this quite some time ago, and I just kept forgetting to put it in. I mentioned we're going to have some new schemes here coming up now. I was actually in my qualifying attempt to make a mistake right there out of turns 2, get to the outside wall. That ruined the lap, sets a 31.6 for us, and then we qualify P25 for the Quaker State 400. That was, of course, 100% my fault there. I made a mistake in turns 1, got to the throttle too early and didn't really want to lift, and then we, of course, knocked the wall down on the exit of turns 2. Daniel Suarez is back in the Going Racing car. He has returned from injury. He starts a little bit ahead of us here coming into this race, as Kyle Busch and Joey Logano start P1 and P2, but there you see Suarez in that 18th position. Hopefully we can keep him in the top 30 in points, and if he can remain in that top 30, he will sure enough be in the playoffs after missing 4 races due to an injury recently from Dover now as we get ready to take the green flag. Alright, boys, I mean, we've been running really good lately. Iowa, the finish didn't represent how we ran, so we know we've got some serious speed now. Hopefully we can carry that over into tonight. It's going to be tough. I haven't had a great history here, but we'll see what we can do. Let's go have a good race. There you hear myself on the radio here as we're going to get ready to take the green flag. Nobody failed inspection here, so everybody keeps their starting position. Kyle Larson looking very fast now, as he's, of course, in a very interesting position with the playoff grid, so he needs to make sure he has a good finish now, as Christian Eckes isn't nearly as fast as we expected here. As there you get a better look at that Exalta car. I really love this paint scheme that RJ came up with, and I hope you guys like it too now here as we get ready to take the green flag. The green flag is up from the Quaker State 400, and we are underway from Kentucky Speedway here now. A good chunk of laps in this first stage, about 18 laps or so, plenty of time to move our way forwards from this poor starting position here as we go down into turns 1 and 2. Just behind us we got Justin Haley. There's some rumors starting to circulate here in the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, and that is the potential of Colleague Racing possibly shutting down at the end of this season here. So stay tuned on that. It is a very possible scenario, so we'll have to keep an eye on that here within the next half of a season or so. And now as we come through out of turns 4, we make a bit of a 3-wide move there on the 17 of Chris Buescher, as well as that McLaren of Eric Jones as we go down towards turns 1, right behind that 47 of Ross Chastain. I should mention, I don't know if I sound a little bit different and whatnot, but I'm not feeling 100% today. I actually just had my COVID shot yesterday, so feeling a little bit rough from that, but overall doing pretty well. So if I sound a little bit different, that's probably what it is. I'm feeling a little bit tired from it, but overall we're doing pretty good now as we come through out of turns 4. We were continuing to make moves. We got it past our Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Alex Bowman, and then now we were trying to look up the inside of the 43 of Eric Almirola here as we went down into turns 3, right behind Brandon Jones. And that race team right there, Gaunt Brothers Racing, the 96 team with Brandon Jones behind the wheel, they are going to be, I think, a legitimate threat come playoff time. They picked up 2 wins. They won the Daytona 500. They won at Sonoma Raceway very early in the season, and then they decided they were going to pretty much save their resources as much as possible and invest everything into a strong playoff run this season. So we're going to see what they have with Gaunt Brothers Racing in that 96 with Brandon Jones behind the wheel. So we come through a little bit later now on lap 5 up the inside of Denny Hamlin. We were slowly moving our way forwards. It was not happening fast. We weren't just hauling the mail through the field here. It was a very slow, gradual move up the field. Now we were up to 17th place, passing Denny Hamlin here in his final start at Kentucky. I believe this is the first track on the schedule with this modded schedule that we've come back to a second time so far this season. I could be wrong, but I believe it is now, as we would also pass Austin Cindric. We would move up into P16. We would get to Haley Deegan here moments later now and look up the inside of that 4 car down the front straightaway and into turns 1, and sure enough, yet another pass. And now we would enter the top 15 as our Alliance car of William Byron with the Earnhardt Johnson Racing team was currently leading the way. He was in a battle with Joey Logano for this lead position here in first stage, and you see now on lap 11 past the halfway point now in stage 1, Logano had actually briefly taken the lead away from William Byron in that 88 car. Now as I was trying to run down Harrison Burton in that 19 car, we get up the inside of him here as we would actually have a 3-wide pass right here with myself, Burton, and Gregson now in the final 7 laps of this first stage. So we have a nice little scrap going here with these 2 drivers. Of course, Burton, myself, we're locked into the playoffs. Gregson trying to point his way in. Last season, he missed the playoffs completely, had a very rough season. Right now, he is right around that bubble, so he's got to be very careful, make sure he doesn't get himself into trouble, but he really needs stage points, and clearly that's not going to happen here in stage 1 now, as we would also move our way forwards back ahead of that McLaren driver here as we came through turns 1 and out of turns 2. So Ryan Blaney drops down to 12th place, as we move up into P11 as Logano. Byron, they were still going at it for that lead position. No one really had anything for Byron and Logano here in stage 1, but they just kept going back and forth for the lead here. Now up to the back of our teammate Chase Elliott, and of course we know he is trying to point his way in to the playoffs, so I'm trying to be very, very careful around that 9 of Elliott. What I really decided to do was play defense mode for him, because Elliott currently is holding on to that last stage point, but unfortunately Harrison Burton kind of catches me off guard and forces it up the inside. I was really dealing with a tight car on the exit of turns 4 specifically, and you can kind of see that right there. Here's where we go down into turns 1, only 2 laps to go, and the stage some contact between myself and the 19 of Harrison Burton, so we drop back down to P12. Tire light has come on, but we will make it to the end of the stage without any issues here with a lap and a half to go on the stage. But now Burton, he actually jumps up to the top, so that kind of saves Elliott and myself, and we're able to get back up into the mix as William Byron back out front leads the way to start this first and opening stage here from Kentucky Speedway here for the Quaker State 400. Now as we start that final lap in the stage, we're now going to get back in front of the 19 of Harrison Burton. So now I'm going full defense mode. We're trying to be the team player when we can. We're the only Hendrick Motorsports driver with a win. We're the only one locked in the playoffs right now. Larson, Bowman, Elliott, they're all trying to point their way in. Bowman DNF last episode. He had a really, really rough race there because of that DNF, and he lost a lot of points now as we come through out of turns 4. So playing the defense role right there to help Chase Elliott get a stage point, and it works in our favor now as Chase Elliott comes through to get P10 in stage 1, which is only 1 point. It doesn't sound like much, but it is going to be huge potentially at the end of this regular season. And one bit of drama that goes unnoticed is Kyle Larson is out of this race here in Kentucky. He had an engine failure, so he is completely out of the race, so that might put him in a potential must-win situation from here on out if he wants to get into that 16-driver playoff grid. So we're going to come into the pit lane, of course, take 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. I didn't really want to, or I didn't know if I wanted to make any adjustments to the car because on the long run, this car felt really, really good, so I decided to keep it the same for the start of this second stage as Chase Elliott overtakes the number 0 2 of Eric Jones on the pit lane as we remain down here in P11 as Stage 2 is underway for the Quaker State 400, and now in Kentucky, it is time to get amped. And there you have the AMP segment here from Kentucky Speedway. We started Stage 2 in P11, and after 2 whole laps, we are currently still in P11 behind that McLaren driver of Eric Jones. Now, speaking of McLaren, Ryan Blaney gets up the inside of us here down the back straightaway, and Jones currently racing my teammate, who will be his teammate next season. I'm currently racing Jones's teammate, who will be my teammate next season here as we come through out of turns 4, but we're no longer racing Ryan Blaney because I just put myself in the wall. We're going to lose a ton of track time for that there, as I just really pushed up on the exit of the corner. Car felt very, very tight, and that was the kind of moment right there as we also have some contact with Harrison Burton into turns 1. He saves it. We were 4 wide for a brief moment right there as we came through out of turns 2, but I quickly realized we definitely need to make some adjustments next time we come into the pit lane here, try and loosen this car up, maybe put some grill tape on the front, and hope that that helps us in the long run, or in the short run really, because the long run felt really, really good. But that short run, we were struggling so hard. The car was tight, and I was just downright slower than everybody. So we were now down to P21 as Eric Almirola was leading the way, by the way, so not very often that we see that. Almirola has been able to win in that 43 car, but his lead would not last for very long as William Byron would get out in front, but that did not matter now because the caution had come out, but nobody was coming into the pit lane here. We were all getting ready to stay out, but we are all the way down in the midfield now in P20 after we worked hard for all of Stage 1 to try and get up into that mix to get a stage point, and then unfortunately Stage 2 did not get off to a very good start for us here. So we're down in P20 as we get ready to go for this restart, but definitely we know where I kind of wanted to go with this car. I wanted to loosen it up, maybe put some tire pressures up if we need to, put the wedge down a couple clicks, and then add a little bit of grill tape like I'd already mentioned. So some work to do here if we want to get some stage points before the second stage comes to a close, because now we only have 7 laps to go. Now is behind us. Noah Gregson on the inside gets a very poor restart. That leaves the door wide open for me to get down right here and slide in behind that FedEx Toyota Camry driver of Denny Hamlin for Joe Gibbs Racing. William Byron still out front, but he is under a lot of pressure from not only Joey Logano now, but Eric Almirola here is starting to put some pressure on. So it could be a 3-car battle there for the victory here tonight from the Quaker State 400. Joey Logano already has a couple wins. He is locked into the playoffs. Byron already has a win. He's locked into the playoffs as well. Almirola, of course, never really been in a position this season to win a race. So this is really the first chance he's had all season long to really be up in the mix and potentially get a race victory, but it's going to be a very hard task for that team here as we go down through turns 1 and 2. Gregson trying to follow through on the inside, and now he's going to actually get up our inside here as we come through out of the corners. I'm going to split it 3 wide between him as well as Harrison Burton. That's not the first time we've been 3 wide with both of those drivers here today in Kentucky Speedway. So we would get past the 1 car, we get past the 19, now up the inside of Ryan Blaney once again as we came through out of turns 4. Blaney not having a very good season that he was hoping for with this McLaren team. Might raise the concerns for a driver like Chase Elliott, of course, who is going to that McLaren team next season for the final season, by the way, of the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. But now in the final moments of the second stage, we were really starting to make up some time. We passed the 23 of Bubba Wallace, we passed Sam Mayer, another future McLaren drivers. You guys know they're going to have 3 cars next season, and it is going to be an Eric Jones, Chase Elliott, and Sam Mayer lineup. So a good chunk of experience there with some race winners, and then you got the young guy of Sam Mayer who's going to try and gain that experience and potentially become a Cup Series winner now, as we came through with 2 laps to go in the second stage. And now Alex Bowman was up in the mix here, but I realized he wasn't going to get stage points at this point, so I did not hesitate to pass him as Joey Logano leads the way to the final lap of stage 2 as we're up the inside of Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon won the Coca-Cola 600. If he can find himself in the top 30 in points, he will make the playoffs, but that is going to still be a big challenge for him as we get clear out of turns 2. And now we move up into P10, but Bowman follows through into P11 behind us, and I know how important these stage points are for a driver, especially like Alex. So into turn 3, I actually give him the bottom, and I didn't really race him very hard here as we came through turns 3 and out of turns 4. So Bowman is actually going to be able to get P10 as we continue this team player role whenever we need to, and we once again settle for P11 just like we did in that first and opening stage. So still overall a solid car, but I definitely knew we needed some adjustments in it, so I came in to take, of course, 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 tires. But I also wanted to put the wedge down potentially just a little bit, and I was looking at that right rear tire pressure as well, and I saw the right rear was at 49, the right front was at 50. I was thinking about maybe putting that right rear as up to 50 as well, but I decided to hold off for now because we still have one more pit stop on the way now. As you see, Timmy Hill, Kyle Larson, currently your 2 drivers out of the race here from Kentucky Speedway here as we get ready to go green for the start of the 3rd and final stage. So far it's been a pretty calm race here from Kentucky now as we are back underway. The 3rd and final stage is underway here for the Quaker State 400 now, so just 25 laps to go, and if it stays green we will have to come into the pit lane, and I was hoping it would just go long here, and then I had a plan to just take maybe 2 tires and then just fill it up just enough to get to the end. But if a caution comes out and we all come into the pit lane pretty early, it's really going to hurt us because we need a long run here if we want to be in the mix whatsoever. Now as we go down into turn 3, Daniel Suarez in this Going Racing Chevy Camaro just in front of us, having a nice comeback from his injury now as we came through out of turns 4. Joey Logano leads the way over Eric Almirola. Byron all the way up by the wall here as we came through to complete this first and opening lap of this 3rd and final stage. So an interesting strategy from Byron, and actually he did the same thing at the start of stage 2. He jumped up to the top, lost some ground, but made it back up, and obviously was up in the mix there, but couldn't beat Logano for that stage victory there in stage 2. But now still up the inside of our teammate of Alex Bowman as Eric Almirola, sure enough, takes the lead here as we come through out of turns for the 0-2 McLaren of Jones. He's going to fight back to my outside, and just you can once again see that short run speed is just not in this Exalta Chevrolet Camaro at the moment now. It hasn't been here all race long, and I just really couldn't figure out what we had to do to find that short run speed. So we were just kind of hanging in there and just hope that run would go long and no cautions come out. I was really hoping it was going to stay green for the whole 3rd and final stage, and with how calm this race has been, I felt like there was actually a legitimate chance of that happening now. And out of turns 4, Harrison Burton here on the 45th lap, coming to lap 46, gets up my inside, and now we drop down to P13. So it keeps on getting worse here on the short run, but I knew if we could just hang on for a few more laps, we would start to go in the right direction. Sure enough, on lap 52, the car was going in that direction that I was hoping it would. We were now right on the back still of the 19 of Harrison Burton, but he goes all the way up to the top through turns 3 and 4, and I just go to the inside, and we make the pass on that 19 with no problems whatsoever, and back up into 13th place we go as we try to run down Bubba Wallace, who also had actually gotten past me as well, as I forgot to note that. But now on lap 53, you can see the speed's definitely coming to us compared to these other drivers, and out of turns 4, we were now looking up the inside of our Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Chase Elliott. Of the Hendrick guys trying to point their way in between him, Bowman, and Larson, Elliott's in the best shape right now as he is looking pretty good, and if we don't have 2 more new winners, he should be able to point his way in. Now as a caution comes out with 14 laps to go, exactly what we did not want to see, because this forces everybody into the pit lane as Eric Almirola leads the way over Logano, Byron, Kyle Busch, and Christopher Bell. So now we're going to come in and just put a splash of fuel, basically like half a can of fuel in the car. We're going to put 2 right side tires on it, and I was once again looking at those tire pressures specifically. I do put the wedge down a little bit, and then I, sure enough, put that right rear tire pressure up to 50 to match the right front, and then I also put that grill tape up a little bit here because I know that now we have a short run to start this final stretch to the end of this race, and we're not going to have a lot of time for this long run car to kick in. So we actually lose one spot on the pit lane here and drop down into the inside line in P13. So the green flag is back out. Only 10 laps remain here. So I wasn't very confident with my odds here of trying to get a good finish, but I still had hope that we could just hang on, fight as hard as we can, and make something happen. William Byron, by the way, who came into the pit lane from the 3rd position, actually won the race off of the pit lane, so he is back out in front with 10 laps to go. Daniel Suarez there in that number 77 Yellow Heart Camaro on that outside now, as of course I want to help him as much as I can. He has a win this season, but the problem is for him, he's got to stay within the top 30 in points, so we're doing everything we can to make sure he does remain in the top 30. Of course, having a good run here today to make that happen now as we're up the inside of the 29 of Cole Custer. A very forgettable season for him, just like his whole career has been in the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, at least. Now as we came through to turn 2, we had moved up inside the top 10 here with 9 laps to go. We really haven't been in the top 10 at all in this race, so it was nice to finally be up in the mix here once again as we go down into turn 3 as well. Up the inside of Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, he had taken the lead away from William Byron. Now as I'm coming through at a turn 4 down this front stretch, I go a little bit up the track, but then actually throw a block on the 19 of Harrison Burton there, who I realized was coming with a very huge head of steam now as we go down into turns 1, though we clear the 23 of Bubba, and Harrison gets up the inside of him, and that 19 of Harrison Burton had a lot of speed late in this race, and you're going to see that come into effect now as we came through to lap 61 through turn 3. Byron Logano going back at it for the lead. Eric Almirola up there, as well as Christopher Bell as we came through into turns 4, but now as we came through running P8, the number 19 of Burton was continuing to put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself, and on the exit of turns 4 and lap 62, he takes the opportunity, gets up my inside, and now he is going to go through to pass us here for that 8th position. So we dropped down to P9, but it was interesting. As soon as he completed this pass, it finally felt like the car was coming in to my advantage, and at the very next corner, I just go back up the inside of Harrison out of turns 4, and now it looks like we're going to move back up into that 8th position as Logano continues to scrap it out with Byron, Almirola, Christopher Bell. They are going at it hard up there as 4 cars are right in the mix for a potential win here today. Now as Bell has had a breakout season in this career mode, but we come through straight to the final lap of this race, and we just didn't have enough after clearing Burton to run anybody else down. So we start this final lap. Suarez going for P9 behind us. William Byron, though, took the lead away from Logano, who had dropped down to P3 behind Christopher Bell, who is now up into 2nd place on this final lap. So down the back straightaway, we are in for a great comeback and just a great finish overall here, as we never really ran in the top 10 today, but in the final stages of this 3rd and final stage, we managed to get into that top 10 as William Byron comes through to win his 2nd race on the season for that Earnhardt Johnson Racing team. 3rd win overall with them, and we come through to finish in the 8th spot, which in my opinion, compared to how we finished last time we came here, an absolutely tremendous result, and once again showing that we have finally seem to have catch on to things and knowing what we need to do with this Hendrick Motorsports 24 team. So very, very satisfied with that effort. Elliott had a bit of a rough finish there in the mid-teens, so that was very unfortunate for him, as you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. A very rough night for Chase Briscoe down there in P32. That's going to be a huge hit for him in points, and of course for Kyle Larson as well, who ended up finishing in that 40th position, dead last there after a DNF in stage 1 due to an engine failure there. As in the next episode, we go to the Dirt Series once again, and it's actually going to be at Jefferson, and that is going to be a road course race here for the NASCAR Legends Series. So interesting to see how that's going to be. Hopefully that will kind of favor me more. As you see the Xfinity grid, Bradinger still with 5 wins, and the next driver closest to her is Justin Allgaier with 3. Magnussen currently the last guy in on points, as he usually finds a way every time to miss the playoff somehow. But you look at the Cup Series playoff grid before we end it. Jones out by 7 points. Bowman out by 8 points. Larson 47, Briscoe 67. So Briscoe likely has to win right now. But there's the Elliott and Gregson, the last 2 guys in on points. As Elliott's still pretty safe, but Gregson only good by 7. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. In the next one, we go to Michigan. Very excited for that. And before we end it, of course, I would like to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members here on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Bubba Jr., Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasur, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana 9302, as well as King Matt XL. I really appreciate you guys' support once again, and it helps me so much, and it goes a long way, and I really do appreciate it. So I'll see you guys in the next one in Michigan. Have a great day, everybody.